So let's start with girlhood because I feel like that's a big part of like what brought us
Definitely.
together, other than modeling,
Yeah,
of course. So if y'all don't know, I met Del through modeling.
Mhm.
We did like one project together, and ever since we have been inseparable.
You actually played my best friend in like the film that we were doing, and then like I had to save your number in my phone as like my best friend, and then I was like, you know what? Why don't we just like keep this going?
Like, why don't we just be besties in real life?
Exactly. Yeah. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah. So what is most important to you about girlhood in your 20s?
Probably like that. Exactly what I just said. Like just really like connecting with somebody like off rip, and like we just kind of like hit it off. I think that's the most important thing about girlhood is that like you're kind of like blinders, I guess, or like off, and you like kind of relax a little bit when you're around women, and it's like it's super fun. It feels very like when there's a community of women, you can feel the vibe, you can feel the energy. It's just good vibes, and it's obviously what I felt with you. And I was like, let's keep this going, babe. I'm gonna have to keep her around for a while.
No, I love that. I think it's really important to have super genuine friendships in your 20s because I feel like throughout high school, I had a lot of like friendships that held animosity and like everything was a competition and like it just wasn't real genuine support from anybody. So like being able to go through your 20s with someone who understands that we're literally just figuring life out as we go is really
we've actually talked about that before, right? Like having friends that are your friends but that like will secretly hate you, and it's like okay, what's really going on?
You're not really my friend.
Yeah, you just wanna cop a vibe.
Yeah, and I feel like those people, like, if you don't know the proper way to just like cut it off and say like, like it holds weight on you, and if you don't let that go, you won't grow.
Ooh, okay, rhymes. No, but like friendships like that really make me want to copyright my whole vibe. Cause I'm like, hey, what? Why are we?
You're not gonna come in and steal my personality and then go and make that your brand. Like that's me, babe.
Yeah, that makes me want to just copyright.
I could get into that so long.
All right, pause. Yeah, I think that goes into boys too. Have you ever had a jealous boyfriend? Those are the worst. Those are worse.
Jealous partners are definitely a lot to handle.
They look different too. Like it's I feel like with women it's like you know, you can kind of tell like you'll like do something and then they'll do it after you, but kind of like trademark it as their own. But like I feel like with boyfriends that have been jealous of me at least, it's like they'll kind of like try to pull you down a little bit and like not support what you do, or like, you know, we're models and then we'll have like I'll have partners that are like, well, you're naked, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a nude shoot. Like, what do you want
like
me to do?
And they don't realize. So not everything that I've done is paid, but like a lot of people get paid to do that kind of stuff, and a lot of the times we're just taking direction from the creative director on set, the photographer on set. It's not like I'm gonna do this because it'll make this person mad, or I'm gonna do this because it'll portray me as like this,
or
whatever.
Let me shoot with this person because I have a crush on them. Like, no, it's not how that works.
That's not. If you don't get the vision, like you really don't have an input as to like how it went down or how the outcome of it turns out. Jealousy like that is just like if you don't have someone who's in the industry with you, they just won't get it.
Exactly. Yeah, I felt that. I especially feel that like with girlfriends, like going back to like the girlhood kind of thing where like girls are jealous of you and like they'll come. I've had like friends come with me on set, try to like I'll have my photographers, you know, shoot them, and they're like super uncomfortable, like they don't know how to pose. Like you know how it was like when you were first starting out, like you had to tell people how to pose.
You're like standing there like
kind of had to move you like one of those little art mannequins. And then like after that, they just will stop. Like they felt so uncomfortable that they just stopped supporting me altogether. And like they're like, no, I'm not gonna take your photos, or no, I'm not gonna like go with you on set. And I'm like, okay, like just say you can't model. Like what are we doing? What are we doing? Like,
or like I'm the type of person to be like, I'm very picky with my photos. Like I need the right angles. So like maybe you didn't take good pictures in the first place. I have friends who are photographers and I'm a big take my pictures like well.
Let me go call up with my friends really quick.
Those are people who won't complain about it because they get the art of modeling.
Yeah.
And like angles and like even with like all the modeling that I've been doing, everything's been going so fast. I've like taken an interest in creative directing. Like I like to know what people's best angles are.
Yeah.
And like what they look good in or like what background would go best with. And it's just it opens up a lot of different doors.
Yeah, I agree for sure. I'd say I find some. I think it's part on my end. It's really just my OCD, like because I like to be behind the camera, like what is going on, but not because of that. And I wish it was, so I commend you for that. But like
I mean, and that's not a bad thing either. Yeah, you want to whatever you put out, you want to look your best in.
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't understand that. They're like, well, I think you look fine, so why does that matter?
I do have a question for you though.
Yeah.
What's like the biggest thing that you've learned in modeling? Like the biggest lesson you've learned in modeling?
I've learned a lot of things, and I feel like I haven't even been doing it that long. But everything just moves so fast. You kind of just find yourself.
How long have you been doing it?
So I did it for maybe 2 or 3 months, like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then I had a bad experience with an agency. No shade to them, but just not for me. And then
I'm kidding.
And then recently, I'd say like September, October is kind of when I like went back and did my first show, and it felt amazing. And I like remembered why I started doing it in the first place is because it helped me bring my confidence back. Like I feel like I lost a lot of that in between high school and like now, like not being able to be comfortable in my skin, and like that's one of the things that I can feel comfortable doing and like tell myself I look beautiful, and like everybody else is like, but the biggest lesson I feel like is not taking too much from your own cup to fill others.
Ooh, that's a juicy one. No, that is so juicy because that is exactly what I was thinking about. On the car ride here, I'm like listening to music and I'm like, dude, the amount of people, and I'm sure you'll hear it all the time, that are like, well, your energy is so good, you know, like every time I hang out with you, I feel better. And like you'll hear a lot of people around you saying that they feel better when they're around you. And I used to think that that was like the biggest compliment. And then I realized, holy shit, where are they getting it from? Like, where are they getting it from? I'm having to pull it from somewhere, right?
Right.
So where is that energy that I'm giving to them coming from? And is there still enough for me?
Right. The only thing I feel like you should be giving out is the overflow of what you have. Because if you only have what's in your cup and you're dishing it out to this person and you're dishing it out to this brand and you're dishing it out to collaborate with these people because you think it's going to whatever, like you're gonna run out eventually.
Yeah.
And people are gonna feel that. You're gonna feel drained. You're not gonna wanna do things, feel as motivated to keep going.
Yeah, I have to say, like, that's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned with anything, with like girls, boys, friends, you know, relationships, even like family members, like just making sure that your cup is filled at all times, like mentally, spiritually, monetarily, before you can like really give that to anybody, you know. It's a really good, that's a good one. Let's go. Somebody write that down.
Hold this thought. Come back.
I'm holding it.
Hold it. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. We left y'all with a little bit of food for thought on that last segment. But now we're going to be diving into intuition and discernment versus anxiety and how it can hold you back from the things that will let you prosper. And yeah. So what is one thing in your 20s that you wish you would have just said, F it, I'm just going to do it, and it would have put you further versus having that anxiety and saying, I'm too scared, I'm not going to do it. What are people going to think of me?
Right.
What is social media going to perceive me as?
I'd say probably like every relationship I've ever been in. Yeah. Whether that be friends or boys, but more especially boys, like,
Yeah.
I never really like understood what it looked like to, and I didn't even know up until like, this was like a recent thought, my really just like coming to this point of crashing out of my mom's room and being like, what am I doing? Like, what's going on? I can't figure this out with this guy or whatever the case was. And she was like, are you like anxious about it? Or is this like a thought that you felt like in your gut?
Right.
And I was like, well, like, it's like a gut feeling that something's
up. Now that you say it.
Yeah. She's like, well, that's probably your intuition telling you need to get that hell out of there. Like, what are you doing? Right. And I was like, wow, I thought I was just nervous about it. She was like, no, like, that's like your body's gonna tell you
right
before your brain even comes to figure out what's going on. Your body's gonna let you know when something's right for you and when something's wrong for you.
Yeah, your body will literally reject someone if they're not meant for you, if they're not adding to your life. Yeah. Like I mentioned before, only pouring out of the overflow of your cup. If they're taking away from what you have in your cup and they're not getting the overflow, like it'll show.
Yeah.
Like I've dealt with people who have made my skin break out. Like not even just face. Like I'm talking.
Yeah.
Like break out.
I'm like,
lose weight, gain weight.
My hair is falling out.
Right.
Like I thought I was 20. What are we doing? I feel like I'm going through menopause. Like, what is going on?
And with women, we have such big hearts. We're always wanting to give and care, like no matter what. Like they could be literally dragging you across concrete and back to hell. Yeah. And you're like, but I love them. Yeah. And I want to keep pouring into them. And you're literally getting drugged.
Yeah.
Like a trash bag.
Literally
on trash day.
A trash bag. That's where your discernment comes in, for sure. It took me like, I think I was like 21 when I even learned what discernment meant. And I was like, why didn't anybody tell me that was a thing? Like, I almost want to like punch everybody I know for not like telling me sooner, you know? Those are like important things to know in your 20s. I feel like somebody definitely should have told me that.
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know everybody who's watching if you're spiritual or not, but knowing God's voice with discernment.
Ooh, that's
versus
a good
anxiety. Because anxiety is not from God, it is from the enemy. So having discernment in your faith, I feel like really helps in your 20s. Just knowing that what is for you will be, and if it's not, it'll show. And you need to have the strength to say bye to it, let it go, or be like, hey, can't do this right now. Maybe later, but I need to focus on me.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. I think I was like 12 when I learned like what God's voice sounds like, essentially. Like my pastor was like, well, it might sound like a whisper. It might be like somebody physically speaking to you. It might be, somebody prophesying over you, or it might be like a loud yell. Like it could be anything. So you really have to like know your word and practice it and like really, really be in tune with that part of your life. It's kind of like a muscle. But I think that's with anything,
I feel like probably the biggest thing in my 20s is having that strong faith. I wish somebody would have told me like, hey, turn to God instead of like going out and drinking or turning to men for validation. I feel like it's really important to just know that he's in your corner, and as long as he's in your corner, nothing will prosper against you, babe. Nothing. the devil cannot reach you, babe. She will not get you. But now getting into it, I feel like is the perfect timing for it in my life. Like if it would have come any earlier or any later, it just would have been. Yeah, I wouldn't have known what to do with it.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like I hate when people say like. I know we're talking a lot about what we wish would have happened. However, if none of that stuff happened, it would have taken me tenfold longer to really understand what I know now at 22. And I'm glad that I know it at 22 rather than like when I'm 40, or 30. I mean, I was just having coffee with a friend earlier, and I think he's like 30, 31, and just, barely went to therapy for the first time. And I was like, what? Like,
at 30?
It was like, I will commend you, and like, we love him. He's great, but like, I'm so proud of you for doing it now and choosing it now, but like,
I can't even imagine how much 30 years to unpack must be on someone. Like, that's crazy.
When I was sitting in my first therapy session at 21, I was like, this is going to be so much. She was like, babe, you have no idea. She was like, you have no idea.
I have yet to dive into therapy, y'all, but it is amazing. Oh, very much needed.
Sorry for the teaser. Stay tuned with my girl.
I feel like therapy isn't just going to like a professional though. It's also like with girlhood, like having those girls. Exactly. Y'all don't know, but this is my girl. Love her down.
This is my Shayla.
Love her down. We got the matching shoes on. Period. But just having people like her that just understand we're going through life. You need another woman figure that like isn't motherly, someone that isn't like, you need to do this and you should be doing this, and just having someone who genuinely supports you.
Yeah, for sure. With no animosity, with no like jealousy. It's like, I genuinely want to see the best for you. Like, there's been times where we've had like, we just been sitting in my car like talking for however long, and we're just like, okay, somebody has to get out because it's not gonna be me. And like, you just don't even want the conversation to end, but like, you're in the car, nobody's watching, there's no cameras or lights, or we're not on set, because a lot of the times we're on set. But anyway, it's fun to have like,
or having dedicated time to that. Because I grew up as the oldest daughter, so I was very much hold everything in, don't talk about your feelings, like your younger siblings come before you in a sense. So growing up and building the friendships that are like, you are a priority in my life, and I do care about your feelings, and I want to hear your feelings, and I want to take them into consideration. It's just very refreshing.
Yeah.
So I commend girls like us. True girls.
True girl, honest to God,
fake girls out there. No shade, no tea.
All shade, all tea. Because she's the oldest, but I grew up the youngest, so I'll start swinging. I don't care. I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
It's okay. I have a very soft spot in my heart to all my oldest daughters out there. So we got it off the mud.
The mud is crazy. Oh my goodness. Yeah. No, being the youngest sibling, definitely. You actually remind me a little bit of my older sister. I love her to death. But yeah, when like she moved away to Korea, the good one, not the bad one, but yeah, and then like
Korea,
and then you came in like at the perfect time, and I was like, oh, thank God, this is what I needed, like this is what I needed, like a true friend, And the fact that I can call you that is very special because there's not very many of them.
Exactly. And people wouldn't know that we literally met like a couple months ago. I think we went out one night and we had drinks with these guys and they were like, well, y'all wait. We're gonna talk about the situation, but
that is so funny.
Just the principle of it today. That can be another episode.
Dude, it's crazy.
But they were like,
you guys have known each other forever.
Right, like y'all have been best friends for years. We met a month and a half ago.
This is the first time we're ever sharing a drink together, sir.
This is the first time we've been outside of a model set together.
Yeah, exactly. But even on set, I remember just being like, yeah, I love her. Like she's cool. She's gonna stay in my life forever. I don't care. You're mine. Thanks.
I like your personality. I like what you give off. I like what you do.
Yeah.
Pick the strawberry out of the garden.
Not me being a strawberry.
I mean, you could be a cantaloupe if you want. An apple. I just said strawberry. I like strawberry. You want to be a carrot? Like,
we're so off topic. What are we talking about?
It's okay. I feel like for our final thought, we should just wrap it up with something that we're grateful that we went through in our 20s. Not something that, you know, like, I wish this didn't happen because it had such a hold on my heart. But something that led to shaping who you are as a person that you're grateful for, whether that be a person, an experience, like somewhere you went that just refreshed you and opened your eyes to something.
I'm grateful for every relationship, whether it be friendship, boyfriends, ex-boyfriends, whatever the case is. Every single relationship, platonic or not, it's led me here. It's led me to find you. Like, if I hadn't really understood or learned what the difference between my intuition is and my anxiety is, I would have probably never became friends with you because I would have just been so focused on my anxiety from people doing me dirty in the past.
Friendship trauma is so real.
That I would have never like understood my intuition with you, you know, that you're a good person and I can trust you, you know. So for every like relationship that I've had, whether it sucked and had me crashing out in my mom's room, it led me here, you know, it led me to you, and I am very, very grateful. As much as I wish that the hurt wasn't there, if it wasn't for the hurt, there'd be no growth, you know.
Exactly.
So I think I'm grateful for all of it for sure.
No pain, no gain.
No pain, no gain. Short-term pain, long-term gain.
Exactly. I feel like for me, something I'm very grateful for, looking back, is my mom. She was a very important figure in my life, and she had me young, so we, quote unquote, as a lot of people say, grew up together. And I used to look back on it and be like, why did this girl have me doing this? And she didn't know better. Like, she had me at 18. She was figuring, like, for herself, and then she had my sisters, and just looking back, I'm like, she put so much ahead of her own for us that I'm just very appreciative that I had a mom who was willing to do that. Because a lot of people don't.
Shayla, I want to give you a hug.
We'll have our hug session after.
We will.
But that's it for today, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, our lovely guest, though. I'm sure she'll be back very soon. Roaring 20s, figuring out and navigating through adulthood with Afrovibes TV radio. Make sure y'all stay tuned for more.